Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is April. I go by Ruby Rouge here on the YouTubes, and today we are going to update on Pan That Palette 2020 and also create my own palette. So we'll have a new palette out for the month of March. It's looking good. It is looking really good. It's starting to get that I have loved this palette vibe to it. I'm feeling like all the shades look a little beat up and roughed up. I did accidentally drop it the other day and dig my fingernail into it. So to do that, I had a goal for last month, and that was to hit pan in white, and I hit pan in white. So that's really exciting. It's just barely there, but we have pan, and that's cool. My next goal, I want to set a goal for next month, and that's to hit pan in this blue, and that's going to be a challenge, guys. This blue is not, let's see, not that far dug into, and I'm kind of over wearing blue shadow, but I was thinking I could really rock this as a blue liner, like pretty much every day, I was kind of thinking. We will see. So I'm about, it looks like I'm about halfway to pan on that dip, so we'll see. That might not be possible, but I'm just thinking, like, as the timeline of what shadows I'm going to be able to use out of this palette throughout the year, like, blue's days are numbered. So I would like to hit pan on it. I've also been kind of working on these two shades here. I don't love those shades. I have to be really honest and say that if this palette did not include those shades, I would be completely happy. I just kind of use them as like randomly as transition shades or blending out shades, or I never use them as like the shade. I don't know if that makes sense. They're more like worker shades to me. Like, I don't like them on their own, I think is what I'm trying to say. This is just way too cool tone. Let's look at this guy. It's just ugly. It doesn't work for me. I mean, it's ugly on me. I should say that. It's just incredibly cool toned. It looks just kind of like a putty. It doesn't look that bad, I don't think, on my arm, but it just doesn't work on my eyes. So I'm not loving that one. Let's move into the create your own palette portion of the video. Please watch January's video if you want more of an explanation about why I'm doing it this way and what exactly I'm doing. You can also watch last month's video. These are all going to be in a playlist. If you want to see what I did for last month, or if you want a more detailed look at this particular palette, this is last month's palette. I did manage to use every single shade at least one time. So I wasn't overly happy with the Storybook Cosmetics. This red just ended up looking like way more orange on the eye, and I would try to build it up. I did some looks with it. I will put those in at the end of the video. I don't know. It just wasn't as exciting for me as I wanted it to be. And unfortunately, this is my first time trying Storybook Cosmetics. I did test a few shades in this palette, and I didn't really care for it. And now that I'm not sure even if how this compares to the actual formula of Storybook Cosmetics, it's a little bit confusing for me. So if you want to watch my BoxyCharm video, I really dig into that a lot. I think that's a really good video. I hate to toot my own horn, but I really liked that video, and I had a lot of fun making it, and I think you guys should watch it. Another thought I had about this palette is that I'm just over the Tati glitters. When I bought that palette, I didn't realize that the glitters weren't considered eye safe. I was cautious about the glitters, meaning I didn't really realize all these pressed glitters weren't considered eye safe. All of my other shadows in this palette were absolutely great. Zero complaints on quality. I did have kind of too many pinks and reds, to the point where, like, there were some shades that I didn't think were dupes, but they ended up kind of being so close they looked like dupes. The looks that I created with them looked so similar that it just felt like dupes. So I did love my palette, but if I were doing another February palette, I would make some changes. And let's get into March. Here's all the palettes that I chose from for March. And the first thing that jumps out at me is lots of Viseart. Viseart is one of my older, let's see, I love Viseart. It's one of my favorite brands. It is also one of, a lot of these palettes have some age on them. And after realizing how long it's taking me to pan this palette and how much I've enjoyed it, I'm like, I need to be working on my Viseart palettes consistently. From the day that I buy them, I need to be working on them because they are one of my favorite shadow formulations, if not my favorite. I'm keeping it cliche for March. We're definitely going greens again. I did want to add in some kind of pops of spring. Feeling like some daffodils there a little bit. Yeah, I just wanted some pops of spring. This actually does look a lot like my garden, my tulips and my daffodils, even my hyacinth. And I have to show you all of these green shadows that I have. I have so many friggin' green shadows, guys. And these aren't even, this isn't every single one. So these are mostly the ones that are, I kind of was certain that I liked the formula. So I definitely wanted to add in some greens. Cool tones. Cool tones are still working well for me right now. So I wanted to keep the focus on my cool tone matte palette as sort of the base shades, so I didn't add any like extra browns or anything, although you know they could work, but I just really want to focus on these grays and the cool tones that I have going on in my Pan That palette. Talk a little bit about all the shades starting from left to right, top to bottom. First we have Tati Memory Metallic. Like I said, I was sick of the glitters, but I do really, I like this metallic shade, and I want to keep reaching for this palette a little bit just because it is the only palette I bought last year. I did get one more for Christmas, but it's my newest palette. So I'm kind of reaching in for that one, not including anything I got in BoxyCharm. Of course, next we have a lot of shades from my Pan That palette. The next 3 in this row, and then the blue, those are all from my Pan That palette. My pops of some kind of springy warm pops were Yellow Submarine from Ofra and Mac Coral. These are both, I'm not that familiar with Matte Coral, but the Yellow Submarine is a really good formula of yellow. I know I picked this one up when the ABH Prism palette was all the rage and people were doing a lot of looks with yellow. So this ended up being one of my favorite yellows that I ended up purchasing during that period. So another kind of new to me palette is this Violet Voss Essentials palette, and I really, really wanted to add in this green. Oh my gosh, this green. If you have this palette and you want to do some springy greens, that one's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful green. I really wanted to add that in, but I had so many greens. Like I said, since I'm not as familiar with this formula, I do want to play with it a little bit more. I've only played with it a couple times, and so I just decided to add in the gold because I felt like the gold would complement the greens and just some of the other colors in the my palette. Another palette, if you have this Douce palette, or this guy right here, the Masquerade palette. This has an absolutely beautiful green in it. This is Mally. Oh my gosh, I love that green. So beautiful. And then the Douce palette has this stunning mint green that I love. And they are slightly different, and I love them. So those would be good ones that I know a lot of people own. I wasn't intending to swatch all of these, so I can't help myself. Some of these are just so beautiful. And this one right here, this is the Viseart Bijoux Royale palette. I don't know that this one's for sale. They definitely don't have it at Sephora anymore. I don't know why I swatched it twice. It didn't need swatch twice. Beautiful, beautiful green. I thought that would be good for deepening up the outer third, or it's beautiful all over the lid. It's just a beautiful shadow. Another shade that ended up being really unique kind of for my collection is this Juvias Place Puffs. It is just so like, something about it is just so pink but so metallic-y silver. Like I really truly don't have another shade like this in my collection, and it is so smooth and so beautiful. So that's an incredibly awesome shade. I think it's been in every single month. I don't think I've taken it out yet. It's very complimentary as well to my Pan That palette, my Cool Tone Mattes. Another really fun palette from Viseart is this Boheme Dream. This is a really fun palette. And it has these beautiful, I love these shadows. Like, these are some of the most most underrated shadows. I mean, they're beautiful and they look so good in the crease or on the lid. You can also use them wet. You can use them dry. You can use them with sticky like primer. There's so many things that you can do with those shadows. I mean, they're wonderful. And then I didn't talk about this other, I have this shade in the palette, but I have both of these in the palette, but these are really cool. They are pressed pigments, so they're a little bit different than Viseart's regular formula, but they're still really, really nice. So I'm getting some use out of my Viseart palettes. Colourpop Sideline. I wanted to use one of these kind of duochromy, shifty, green-brown shades. I wanted to have one of those in, and I liked the undertone of this one the best of all the ones I had. It's a little bit warm, but it's not as warm as a lot of the ones I had. So, lastly, getting to the last row, we have a shade from the Coy palette, Viseart's. Just a really nice, pretty... It's kind of delicate. You almost can't see it very good in here, but it's got a nice like orangey warmth to it with a greenish shift over it, like a greenish gold shift. So that one's really pretty. And then we have just the champagne color from the Juvias Place Giza palette. We have a metallic satin white from Sephora. It's not as... Probably when it was produced it was considered metallic, but these days it wouldn't be. Viseart Cool Mattes, we're back to shade 01. This is the one I hit pan on, so that's awesome. Yeah guys, so that's my palette for March. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would do different. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I really appreciate it. Welcome if you're a new subscriber. I've had quite a few new subscribers in the last couple months. Once again, really appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!